Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to the Live Econ Guy. In this video, I want to discuss credit scores, most notably the FICO score and how looking at the average score over time might be a misleading indicator of the economic health of consumers. So credit scores are used widely for any type of lending, anything from mortgages to getting cell phone service. So if you go anywhere to apply for anything, they might pull your credit report and they might look at your FICO score. Now, what we're being told recently is that the average consumer is very strong. They have an average score of around 716 in 2021 and 2022. And we're also told that things like mortgages and credit cards are only being given to the prime consumers or prime borrowers, unlike what happened in the 2007-2008 financial crisis. Um, so essentially, there's tighter lending standards. Now, I think there's a double-edged sword kind of a phenomena that we should consider with using these average FICO credit scores because everything that happened in 2008 financial crisis, all the bankruptcies, all the collections, all the bad debt, it by now is it's by now off of consumer credit reports because something like a bankruptcy BK7 it comes off of your credit report after 10 years. So if you filed in 2009, in 2019, it's no longer on your credit report. So these consumers today are considered to be prime because all else equal, if they didn't file another bankruptcy or anything else, they would have a higher credit score as the recent average credit score trends show. Now I want to take a look at a graph which plots U4 unemployment rate and year-over-year change in average FICO scores. On the vertical axis, we see the essentially rate, and it goes from a negative to a positive. And on the horizontal axis, we see the year. So the blue line shows the U4 rate, U4 unemployment rate, which essentially is everyone that's unemployed plus discouraged. So we're not just looking at people who are actively seeking work, but also those who were trying to find a job but they couldn't. And the orange line is the year-over-year change in FICO scores. So if we look at the range during the Great Recession, the financial crisis in 2008, we see a drop in year-over-year average FICO scores, and we see a spike in the unemployment rate. If we look at the time after that, what I kind of termed the decade of prosperity from 2010 to 2019, essentially, we have this gradual decrease in unemployment rate and a constant increase in average FICO credit scores. And then we have that COVID shock, which, as you can see, is mostly absorbed by stimulus, unemployment checks, and the payment protection program. Now, I think there is an underlying flaw in looking at this kind of data that, the average consumer is very strong today because they have a much higher credit score. As I mentioned already, a lot of bankruptcies and defaults that consumers had in the past is no longer on their credit reports. And the past decade has been kind of, as I mentioned, a decade of prosperity. So everyone could get a job, everyone could make their minimum payments. There is no reason why you would have a decrease in your credit score. So we've been having this decade of just growing credit scores, and I think a big flaw in the FICO scoring model is that it doesn't consider underlying economic conditions. So we could have a time when there is a very high unemployment rate and a very low unemployment rate, and if you plug in the data into the FICO scoring model, it would give you the same score. In a previous video, by the way, I discussed the impacts of inflation on household savings and debt, and you should definitely check it out if you want to see how consumers have been doing lately as far as their total savings and debt. So yeah, guys, I think a question I want to leave you all with is if you had to choose one or the other, would you lend money to someone with a 700 FICO score in 2010, looking at this graph when unemployment rate was essentially over 10%, or would you lend money to someone today when unemployment rate is essentially at all-time lows, like a 3% unemployment rate? Or is there no difference? Would it not matter at all? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate any likes that you leave me. Have a great day.